I vividly remember what I was doing 25 years ago tonight. I had just finished the weather on the 11 o'clock news at WTOV in Steubenville, Ohio, my first network TV gig. But when I got home, there was no way I was falling asleep. That's because in that pre-internet era, I was glued to the Weather Channel, holding my then 9-month-old son as Hurricane Andrew came ashore in South Florida about 5 a.m. on August 24th, 1992. Until Katrina came along in 2005, Andrew was the costliest hurricane in U.S. history, one of only 3 on record to make landfall in the U.S. at Category 5 intensity. Andrew was originally classified as a Category 4 at landfall, but a reanalysis done a decade later led to the upgrading to Cat 5, with sustained winds of at least 157 miles per hour. Andrew was a relatively small hurricane when it made landfall in Florida. Just for perspective, here's a satellite comparison with Hurricane Floyd 7 years later when the 2 hurricanes were in about the same place. Andrew's extreme winds did the vast majority of the damage, creating a swath of destruction through South Florida that resembled that of a 20-mile-wide tornado. In Homestead, south of Miami, many homes were stripped of all but their concrete foundations. In total, Andrew destroyed more than 63,000 houses and damaged another 100,000. Ironically, Andrew made a direct hit on the National Hurricane Center in Coral Gables, Florida, where winds of 164 miles per hour were measured on the roof of the 12-story building before the instrumentation was destroyed. After battering South Florida, Andrew headed into the Gulf of Mexico, then turned north, and actually made a second, less infamous landfall in Louisiana as a Category 1 hurricane on August 26th. The storm weakened over Mississippi, but its moisture-laden circulation eventually brought 1 to 3 inches of rain to us here in Pennsylvania on August 28th and 29th, as it was absorbed into the mid-latitude westerlies ahead of a cold front. Category 5 hurricanes such as Andrew are a rare breed in the Atlantic Ocean. More than 750 tropical storms have been observed in the Atlantic Basin since 1950, and of those, more than 400, or about 55%, have become hurricanes. But just 23 of those reached Category 5 intensity at some point, so few that I can fit all their names on one page. Now, these are in chronological order. There were 2 in the 1950s, 4 in the 1960s, 3 each in the 1970s and 1980s, 2 Cat 5s in the 90s, including Andrew, and then 8 last decade, including 4 in that hyperactive 2005 season. Matthew last year was the first Category 5 hurricane in the Atlantic Basin since 2007. All of the names on this list except Edith and Emily have been retired. Now, the high-end, really intense hurricanes are more common in the western half of the North Pacific Ocean, where ocean waters tend to be warmer longer. That part of the world averages about 3 super typhoons per year, equivalent to Category 5 intensity. Stay tuned. The extended forecast is next.